Good evening, everybody. My name is Peyton Lauderdale, and I'm one of the co-founders of Gathering Hope. And tonight we're kind of doing something we've never done before. We've practiced a few times and failed a few times already. So just if there's any technology glitches, would you just have some grace for us, because we're all learning a little bit here. So kind of what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about our upcoming social. We've done one already, but I'm going to talk about the one that's coming up. And then we are going to meet a new friend to our organization, and her name is Danica, and she's going to share a little bit about her mission and her vision, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you guys can help. What I'm really excited about is that Gathering Hope has just been so blessed with people and funds and prayers, and it's really kind of fun to just kind of stand back and watch what God is doing. And so I'm really excited to invite somebody into that and be able to just give her a way to share with you guys what's happening with her ministry. So the first thing I want to do is talk about our upcoming social. First of all, why do we do them? So we have our annual gathering once a year in October, and y'all are pretty familiar with what we do there. We do worship, encouragement, and then we have our table discussions where you get to share your story with one another. But what about in the meantime? So we've decided this year to incorporate quarterly socials, which is just a way that you can get together with moms that you have met, or if you didn't come to Gathering Hope, you can come in at any time. But it just gives you a chance to be with other moms and socialize with people who've been through what you have been through. I know after I lost my son, I would go out and wonder, like, okay, or first of all, I'd have just a ton of anxiety about it. And then I would go and wonder, well, okay, if I laugh, what are people going to think? Like, is she all better? Oh, or what if I cried? I kind of didn't know what to do with myself, especially around people who had no idea what I had been through or what it's like to lose a baby. And so this is just a really safe, fun, relaxed environment where you can just come and be yourself and connect with some of the ladies that you may have met before, or meet a new friend, or bring a new friend too. We always encourage you to bring somebody with you. So when is the next one? The next one is going to be on February 21st at 7 p.m. and we're going to be doing it at East Parker Coffee Company. Sorry, I got the name wrong. And this time it's going to be completely free again. We have been gifted with a donation from North Elevation Church to completely cover the cost of everything. So it was a huge blessing that we received yesterday, and I'm just really excited about the partnership with them. So we're just gonna have coffee and sit around and talk and visit with each other. And then we're also going to be doing a small activity where we get to encourage the moms from Danica's ministry, but we'll go into more of that later once we've talked with her for a little while. So I'm going to attempt to bring Danica on screen. She's going to share her story with us and share her ministry and vision. And let's see. Okay, she's watching. Let's see here. Add. Okay.
Hi. Can you
I
hear
see.
me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay, yay,
you.
praise God.
I definitely praise God. Okay. Thanks for being here with us.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So what I want to do is I've kind of told everybody we have our upcoming social. I haven't told them what we're going to do to kind of support you guys, but
Yay.
to kick things off, when people come to Gathering Hope, we invite them to share their story and to introduce their babies to us. So what I would love for you to do is, as much as you feel comfortable, just if you would share as much of your story as you can with us and introduce us to your babies.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So I guess I got to start with how we had babies. I got married. My husband right away, actually, from our first date, he was the first one to ask, and I thought he was kind of like tricking me, so I was scared to answer. But he asked me on our first date, and he was very serious, like, "How many children do you want?" And so I was like, 5. And he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, good, because I want 7." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay." So we were pretty serious very quickly. In preparing for marriage, we went ahead and chose to be wise since we did everything so fast paced. Just for those of you that don't know our story, that's a whole testimony in itself. We met on Halloween, got engaged December 10th, and we're married the next July.
I
So in
love it.
April, we were preparing for, getting married and basically having sex. So we chose the IUD for our birth control, and we figured, okay, we'll wait 5 years till he was done with residency. That way it gives us time to actually really get to know each other, spend time together, especially since his job was so crazy. But 3 years into our marriage, we found that we were expecting our first baby. And
Okay.
we had to make a really tough decision. Do we keep the IUD in because it can cause miscarriage? Or do we just leave it and pray that it doesn't cause a miscarriage? Or we take it out and that would cause a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
So we just chose to not play God, trust God, and just, my husband right away was saying, just come what may. Super supportive. We were fine. And then we ended up losing that pregnancy. And I got to be honest, I think I was a little more relieved than devastated just because I wasn't expecting to get pregnant. I didn't really understand what miscarriage was. So I was kind of just, I don't know how to explain it, but I was kind of like off. But we went ahead and took one doctor's advice to just go ahead and try because of my autoimmune disease, that we knew it would be a very, very long journey. And we had odds against us, not for us. So we decided to trust God in taking him up on his plan to try for kids right away versus waiting like we originally wanted. So we went ahead, started trying. We got pregnant again right away. We lost that pregnancy. And then I think that's when I really started like, wow, what is this? I remember actually being in my closet of our apartment and trying to hide the sound of me crying from neighbors because I didn't want anyone to hear me. But I was so devastated because I didn't understand what was going on. And I had worked at an emergency room. And I just remember all these women coming in for this spontaneous abortion, which I hate that terminology. I know we've talked about that before. And my
Awful.
heart just melted right there, not for my own loss, but just for all these women that I felt that I could have done something. When they came in, I could have held their hand. I could have given them a hug. And for people who know me, I'm just a super loving person. And I really, really love to help. And so that just did something to my soul, I guess you could say. But we went ahead and tried again. And we got pregnant again really quickly. So our odds were working for us. We were getting pregnant, no problem. We just couldn't keep the pregnancies. And that was
time, right?
This is my third time. The second pregnancy, however, though, Jacob was away. So I had to go through that by myself. I didn't really share with anybody except my mom. My mom really carried me through that one. But the third one, he was there. And that was probably our most traumatic loss. Like, we knew we were having a son. I was at work. I worked at the emergency room. I had to check into that emergency room. I felt like my soul basically died. And I mean, I just saw how God carried me though, because the nurse that took care of me, I played basketball with her all through high school. My husband, for some random reason, my husband was able just to leave. Like, he had bosses that were super understanding and allowed him just to go be with me. I was so devastated, and Jacob was so devastated. We didn't even like talk to each other. And I didn't even tell my best friend. She had to find out that I had miscarried after I was already discharged from the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And then that is when we just really, took some time. We actually had to drive to his medical school graduation while I was miscarrying. And that was we drove from Southern California to Northern California to his medical school graduation. And it was in that time that we were just like, we want to do something. God was really speaking to us. We knew we wanted to help people. We wanted to just share our story. And so how it worked from then out while we were trying for the next pregnancy is we just started sharing, with permission of Jacob's patients, our story, just to let them know they weren't alone. I had written a poem at the time, and so he turned it into little business cards, and anytime that he had to tell a patient that they had lost their pregnancy, he would give the card and just share our story. And and ask if we could do something for them. And some people would say, sure. And then we started giving kind of like what we call care packages.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just fill a bag with basically Depends. I hate calling them that, but I don't know of any other cute name.
They
Um,
are.
yes, I mean, but it's just, as many women here know, when you miscarry, you leave your appointment, or you leave the hospital, you leave surgery, and they tell you how to take care of yourself. They tell you how long to wait till you can try again, but they don't really provide for you the basic feminine needs, such
Okay.
as, I mean, yes, you can use pads, but you can't use tampons. But then it's like, it's such a different type of bleeding that we found, you know what, let's just help them that way. It's something basic. And then we like, instead of doing just the poem, we started writing a card. So like Jacob would write a card to the husbands, just encouraging them that like how to be there for the wife. And then I would write to the wife and just try to encourage her and let her know that she wasn't alone. I always include a Bible verse that has helped me through it. And then from there, it just progressed to, all of a sudden we started having friends that were losing. And that was even harder. And that's when we started talking about it. Like one of his medical school friends, his wife reached out and shared with us that she had lost, and we had lost at the same time, but we didn't know. And actually 2 of our kids now have like similar birthdays. They're like literally days apart. So it's a really
Wow.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But we still kept it kind of under wraps, you could say. Like, we didn't tell anybody what we were doing, and we only talked to our close friends. We didn't share with church. We weren't really involved with church. We didn't share really with strangers. It wasn't until 2013 that I was at a women's conference, and a woman was up there sharing her testimony, and she had miscarried 13 times.
Wow.
And she basically told people, like, you need to share your story. Like, this needs to end. The taboo needs to end. And I was like, so on fire. I was like, okay, that's it. This is how I can help. This is how I'm going to help. I'm going to talk about it. So by the time we got to Texas with our second daughter, pregnant with her, I really started being open. You know, I basically would just meet somebody, and I just thought, well, in case this woman is suffering, I'm going to let her know that I've been through this, and this is how many times
Right.
I've been through this. But back to my third loss, it was about the next year we finally conceived our daughter, Liana. We conceived our daughter, Liana, and then she was born that April. Kind of early, but hey, we made it. So we both were excited. We thought, oh, this is awesome. I was actually more excited about the fact that God was so faithful. The fact that I could sit here and say, see, I told you all, like, my God is real. I knew we were going to have a baby. We had a baby. Like, it's over. Like, that part of it is behind us, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So the next loss really, really, really just, I think that one changed me. It was right before Christmas. And again, Jacob was gone for about 2 months. So I basically flew back
Pause for
home.
a second.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've told people where you are and
Oh,
why was gone.
well, it
So
looks like I'm in
why were you
America,
gone?
but I'm not.
So take just 1 second and just tell people a little bit about you
Oh,
guys.
yes. Okay, so my husband is a physician in the Navy, and right now he's currently stationed in Okinawa, Japan, which
Very
is
good.
a little island, subtropical. It's not mainland where they have snow and mountains and subtropical weather. It's about 2 hours southeast, I believe. It's kind of out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So that's where we are right now.
Okay.
Um,
Okay,
Anything else
so
to say?
now let's jump back into your story.
Okay. Excuse me. So when we were in Miami, we had just moved to Miami. It was basically his first duty station,
Okay.
and he was gone, not due to like military deployment or mission or anything like that, but just with residency. We just looked at a block of time, and it was like I wasn't going to see him basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had made the decision to just let me go home after we realized that. And then it's like as soon as I got home is when I miscarried. But at least I was with my family,
Right.
and I had my best friend and stuff. And then I came back home. We decided we're going to keep trying. And we didn't have like any luck for a whole year. So that was
Okay.
really trying, very frustrating, very hard on us individually, but also our marriage. And then of
Okay.
course he's going through residency, and
That's a
so
lot.
it was a lot.
Yeah.
But I had Liana, so and she was quite the handful. But then like a year later, we ended up conceiving, and this time it was twins. And we were just like taken aback. Like we just did this naturally. This is crazy. And we were so excited. And I for the first time I let myself get excited. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. This is like, we're done. Okay, we're done. We got our 3 kids. Like, let's just call it even, you know. But
Yeah.
not even 2 months later, we miscarried them.
Wow.
And so that one I think tore Jacob up more than myself. At that point, he just started asking, like, can you just please not do this to yourself anymore? You know,
Okay.
it's just too dangerous, because that year was also a year I was almost in a coma, because I decided, I was going to be healed naturally and super and not have to take medication. And
Yes.
so that became hard, because then I really did start questioning, like, okay, should we just stop? But I just really felt God saying, like, no, I've promised you this. You got to trust me. You know, I want you to keep using this as a testimony. I want you to keep sharing about it. So we went ahead and we actually just kind of decided, okay, let's try again. And we tried again, and we got pregnant right away. And we kind of weren't expecting it, though, because it was kind of like, I think we were both like, it's probably not going to work. But on my birthday, while I was traveling in New York for my birthday, I found out that I was expecting our second daughter. And that was
Awesome.
like the best. That was the first time that we decided to tell people right away. And I just
Okay.
quickly want to encourage women or couples, whoever's watching. I know the medical field says, don't get your hopes up. Don't share until you've reached a certain trimester,
Yeah.
because it's just so much harder to have to go tell people that you've lost. But if you really think about what they're saying, they're basically telling you, because this is how I felt. So you're basically telling me, don't get my hopes up. So like, be stressed about it. Basically, don't think it's actually going to happen. So that way you're prepared for the worst, which I get to. You want to be prepared, but
Right.
then,
But
like, so that way, in case you
very
do
little help.
miscarry, you're all by yourself. You don't have to bother people. Like, you don't have to, like, worry people and go through that. Like, that's basically what we felt they were telling us. And we just felt
Yeah.
God was saying, no, I say, put your hopes up in me. And so we did. We told people right away, like within the same hour, we're like, hey, we're pregnant. We're only like 4 weeks. Please pray for us. And hope was really ignited in me in that time. That was the first time I allowed myself to really enjoy my pregnancy. Um, I allowed people to like really throw me a little baby shower, because then we got our next duty station, which was going to be Texas.
Yes.
And so that was a little bit hard, though, because I went through that pregnancy happy, but then it's like I left people I knew in Miami, and then we were in Texas. We don't really know anybody, but it was Texas, where everything is bigger and better, that
Sure.
our ministry, I feel so weird to call that, was basically born. Like, it's because of how we were carried in our miscarriage after our second daughter, which it's almost been 2 years now. We knew right away, like the doctor actually during my birth, and she's sewing me up. My little one came out 9.5 pounds,
Oh,
healthy baby. But she asked, she's like, okay, are we going to go ahead with our plan and, remove your tubes? Because they already talked, like, this is a lot, you don't want your mind to fracture, basically. Like, you can only put
yeah.
yourself through so much. And Jacob and I had agreed, like, this is good, we'll stop. But you know what? Right there, we just said, no, we feel God calling us to try again. But it was
Okay.
very different, because this time we didn't hear God saying, I'm promising you a baby. In my spirit, I
Okay.
kept hearing him say, I just have one more woman that needs to hear that you've lost 8, not 7. And so that
Uh,
was tremendous to make that decision, knowing I wasn't being guaranteed another child like before. And
right.
sure enough, we shared rather quickly. I actually waited a week before I even shared with Jacob, because I just wanted to like basically go out in my wilderness mentally and just sanctify myself and prepare myself. And I did that.
So you kind of knew, like from the beginning, you felt like you knew from the beginning.
Yeah, and I would tell my friends, um, this is what I'm praying for. And it was Lisa. So I think she's watching, Lisa Rudolph, if y'all see her. Um, it's she was my first big inspiration, because she kept coming to me. She's like, okay, now that I know your story, like, how can I be there for you? What do I need to do? Like, you're not going to go through this alone. You're not. Like, what do I need
Yeah.
to do? You tell me. And I just kept telling her, like, I don't know, because I've never really let anyone be there for me. Like, I don't know how to go through this with people, and I'm already such a hypocrite, because I love to help people, but I don't accept it. So I was
Right.
like, I don't know, but I felt the Lord saying, just trust me. I'm going to carry you through this. And I mean, literally the day that we lost that pregnancy, I was with Lisa at her house because she was about to leave in the next 6 months. And that was really hard because we became family. And
She's on here. She just says,
that
love and you.
was a really hard day. I honestly, I don't know. Like, I wasn't expecting to actually lose. Like, I knew God was preparing me for that, but I wasn't expecting it when it happened. But I'm so grateful that for the first time, I was not by myself. Literally from the moment I realized I was bleeding to like going to the hospital, going home, and then, you know, Chelsea and Katrina, I don't know if they're watching, they like came and they just would not let me be by myself. They took my girls, they took care of us. Her husband and Lisa's husband just really were there for my husband,
Right.
because it was really devastating for us. Because after that, you know, I chose to just go ahead with the surgery.
Okay.
And so I had my surgery about a month after. And so like I physically could not have any more. But it's from that and allowing my friends, my family, my community to really just carry me through. Not just physically leaving it, not just the surgery, but just the spiritual and emotional like ending of a journey. Like I think any mom who hasn't miscarried, they go through a grieving period even when they realize like, hey, we're not having any more kids.
Yes. Yes.
And just seeing how much they cared for me, I was just blown away. And then in fact, I miscarried that about a couple weeks after I miscarried, my friend Jonelle miscarried. And it was her first miscarriage. And it was in that time, she's one of the people that I talked to about knowing that it wasn't to have a baby, to go through this last pregnancy. And she goes, I really think it was for me, like to be able to miscarry together was so important. And it was awakening. And that's actually when I realized I was taking her. I didn't even like have time to make a bag. I just straight took her to Target and I got all the stuff. And I said, this is what I usually put in the bags. I don't want you to have to go shopping by yourself. Like, I'm going to go do all this for you. So we did that. And then a couple months later, my friend Laura ended up miscarrying also. And so I took her a bag, and it was on the drive back from that I called Lisa and I called Chelsea and I called Katrina, and I was like, oh my gosh, God is telling me that I need to do something with these bags. Like, we're going to do something. And I'm telling you because I'm freaking scared. I don't want to do that. I don't want to like be this person that's, you know, in ministry, whatever that means.
Totally identify with that sentiment. Like I wish there was something else that God called me to do, but this is what he has me doing. And over time, it has shifted from I have to do this to I get to.
Yeah.
And I just feel like so blessed to be able to do this kind of work.
Absolutely. And that's what my husband says, you know, so we got here. So it was kind of like, I kind of was just like, okay, God, okay, well, I'll keep making the bags, but I'm not going to like tell people. And then I told my friends so that they'd keep me accountable. And sure enough, especially Chelsea, she'd be like, so what are you doing? What'd you work on today for your project? And I'm like, you know, and then they'd be like, so what's the name? And I'm like, I don't know yet. Keep praying. Just keep praying, you know? And then it was out here, my husband came home and, you know, he just took off his boots and he sat there and he just started crying. He's going to kill me for telling you guys because he's a really strong guy, but he's like me. We have huge hearts and we care. And he's like, somebody just miscarried and her husband's deployed. And so and it was in that moment that I almost became angry, like, oh my gosh, another group of women I never even considered. How do the women in the military, us military wives, go through this while not just being overseas, already away and adjusting to everything being different and new and trying to build a new support system, but then having your husband gone and already the stress of him gone? Like, I know it's just a training, but so many accidents happen in trainings. And so he's like, we got to do this. And then it wasn't but a couple weeks later that I was like, okay, I'm going to be bold and I'm going to call Peyton and Carol. Well, I think I messaged you guys first, but so I think I was driving another day around here, getting lost in these tiny little, it's crazy driving here, people. Everything is opposite. I literally pulled over because I was so frustrated. I was lost. My GPS didn't work. And I just started crying. I was like, I hate it here. I just want to go home. And then I just started praying for that family that we just were notified that lost. And then all of a sudden I heard God say, you're going to call it Operation Carry Her. And again, I freaked out and I called my friends and I was like, we have a name. This means I have to like really get going and do something.
Cool.
And the reason, so for people who are probably wondering, like, why is it Operation Carry Her? It's kind of just my sense of humor a little bit. You know, everything in the military is Operation this, Mission this, and they come up with these really cool secret names that unfortunately I can't share. But basically, it's we have a heart based on a Bible verse, and it's Galatians 6:2, and it says, carry one another's burdens, and by doing this, you're fulfilling the law of Christ. So, you know, I had to really think about that. Like, well, what is the law of Christ? Well, for those that don't know, the law of Christ is basically just love. Like, God commands us to love him first and then love others, and then love others the way you would be loved. And I just want to love on these women. Like, I know that God didn't allow this through his hands this many times just so that we could sit here quietly, not with the profession that my husband has, and not with the calling that God has called me to just go and be with him and follow him, and then be in a place like this where I have an opportunity to just be watchful. And I've been watching, we have infertility groups here on island, and but there's nothing being done, you know. And I know our churches are always ready to jump and be there, but again, it takes the woman saying, hey, I'm going through this, I need help. And women aren't doing that. So I'm just going to be bold and say, hey, we have this for you. Let us know. And we're so supported by our churches, by a lot of people here, especially the wives.
Good.
So that's what we're doing. We're just carrying one another's burdens in a simple but significant way.
Yeah. I'm so glad you shared that with us. So what you are doing now is you're putting together bags. Are you doing that out of your house? Does anybody help you?
Okay, so no, Jacob and I have been doing this all by ourselves, basically. Oh, and again, just to share real quick, it's my husband actually is the one that came up with the idea of what to put in the bags, because
so
that
can you tell?
so through that third miscarriage where we knew we were having a son, and we actually ended up being at a Target, and I was literally in the bathroom stall, and he was like frantically trying to get me stuff. And can I just tell you, I think I met an angel that day, because I was basically bawling. I was a mess, I'm not gonna lie, in a public restroom. And this woman just stuck her hand under the stall and held my hand, and she was like, you're not alone, I've miscarried too. And
Oh my
God. Yes, and these women just let my husband come into the bathroom. He got all these products. And so it was that experience, like, you know, he kind of broke down in Target in public, and that was hard. And so his heart was, when people are going through these miscarriages, as a doctor, I'm sending them home, and I can't provide anything for them except how to take care of themselves, you know, verbally. But then I want to help the husbands out too. The husbands are the ones that are like, okay, you stay home, I'm going to go take care of this. Let me go get this. Let me go get this. But they're just as in shock. They're just as traumatized as the woman is. Maybe not to the extent that we are, because they're not going through it physically. But if you can just imagine your husband going, like, they're in pain too. And so we wanted to provide a way for them in the initial days of miscarrying to not have to go through that. So that's why we started these bags. That's why we put the Depends in there, and we do the card, and we add a list of songs and books to help through with healing. And usually we put a little pamphlet to our church just in case they needed, you know, spiritual guidance or counseling or anything like that. So that's what we're working on right now. So yes, we have a upcoming gathering soon, our first one, of putting 120 bags together.
Awesome.
So I have amazing wives. I think one of them, I saw Melina. A lot of these wives, actually a few of these, have not even miscarried, but this is the beautiful thing about being a military spouse. You want to do something? Oh, we'll figure it out, and we're going to do it together, and it's going to go. So it feels kind of good that I don't have to like really do this on my own anymore. I get to have a little bit of fun with it. So they're going to be coming over to my house. We're going to be putting 120 bags together. Some of us are going to be writing in the cards. I don't know if you want to share about that yet, but
I will,
because I feel like that's the most important part.
Right. So one of the things that's what we're going to be doing at our next social. So Jen Lyons, I see her on here. She has
oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jen. Can I show them?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jen, you were getting these from Target first, right?
Yes, it was in my making the the bag for Laura that I saw this card from Minted, and I love Minted. That's usually what we do our Christmas cards from. And I was like, this is perfect because it's literally white and black. Like I didn't want anything to be like, just, I didn't want to like hurt anybody. I wanted to be super sensitive to like receiving a gift, but it not being really a gift you wanted. So that's why we do earth tones. That's why I do white tissue paper. And it's just very simple and to the point. It's not, I'm sorry, because I can't stand that. Like, I know people don't know what to say, but it's like, I don't know. So I felt that you are not alone is better.
I love it.
So, yes.
Yeah. So it says, so we actually have, Jen has helped us out with some printing stuff needs that we have had before, and she does beautiful work. And so we were like, oh, we totally can, because I think she said you were paying like $6 a card, and we were like, no more of that.
I know. My friend Chelsea was like, I'm going to go out today and just buy them all. And then like Katrina's like, I'll go hit up the other Target. Cause like when I like something and I want it to be that. And so I was like, it has to be this card. I mean, I even emailed the CEO of Minted, which I never heard back of. And I was like, how do I, like, what can I do to like bulk? Right. And can you please mail them out here? Cause that's another challenge is a lot of places don't mail out here.
So you're printing them now at your house, right?
Yes, with my cute little printer.
Awesome. Yay! So what we have, Jen actually told me she put some in the mail. We have ordered some to be sent here to us in Aledo as well.
Oh my gosh,
so at our coffee, what we're going to be doing is we are going to have 60 of these cards for our moms to fill out to send to your moms.
Oh
so
my
that's
gosh.
what we're doing is filling out and writing a little letter to a mom who's in need in Okinawa. And that is just a little something that we can do to support you guys. And I'm just glad that we get to do it.
Thank you so much. And I just want to like go on that with sharing why that's so important. I feel that is the like key to this bag is that card because it's handwritten. And I feel like people don't do that anymore today. Yes. And it's just a very personal, but respectful way to let somebody know that you're there without having to talk to them because like you mentioned earlier, it's like how do I cry, how do I be like I don't know how to be right now while I'm grieving because I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but then I also want to be true to myself and and allow myself to go through this. So I feel that's a very respectful way, and nothing lets a woman know that you're there for them by receiving a card that is sharing. I just shared, hey, I've gone through this and I just want you to know you're not alone. Like I'm thinking of you. And I thought this was even better because so many people are asking, how can we support our military? And there's so many great organizations out there. There's the USO, there's the MCCS, there's the care packages that people deliver. There's Troop to Troop through Girl Scout cookies. But what is there out there for the wives and spouses that are losing their babies? How do we support them? And this is a very simple, again, but significant way to do that.
I love what you're doing. And I'm just I'm excited to see where God takes you and God takes your ministry. And so, like I said, we're going to be doing those cards, but is there anything else? Like, what are your needs right now? Like, what can we be praying for? What are some financial needs that you have? That kind of thing.
Thank you so much for asking. Again, it's so hard for me to be like, I just want to be like, nothing, we got it.
I know.
But I know that I need to be obedient in this way too. And I'm always telling people, I think I see Dustin too, or maybe Chelsea and Dustin, but I'm always joking and he's always throwing it back in my face. I always tell people, don't rob me of a blessing, and then I joke, like, I'm trying to get into heaven here. Right. But really I got to like swallow my own medicine and, apply my own words to my own life. And I don't want to rob people of wanting to help and support. So the biggest way to really support us is absolutely praying. I'm honestly praying that this epidemic of miscarriage just ends. And I know that may not be a realistic prayer, but that's my biggest prayer is that we don't have to give out these bags, that, lessons. But when we do have to give out these bags, I'm just praying for their hearts to just be open to receiving these and just to feel God's supernatural power of peace and comfort in a time where, you're so lost. Absolutely. Next to prayer, of course, is our biggest challenge right now, I think, is getting the chaplains involved. We've already had a couple meetings, and it is very difficult because I think they're kind of just like, well, I don't know. Like, we have wives, and we're like, okay, but people don't go to wives. Like, so they are doing counseling, but we're just trying to get how do we like integrate these two
Yeah.
entities basically to allow the women to know, hey, if you're losing, let a chaplain know so that we can know, or
That
just
so
still in the process of figuring it
you guys
out.
driving them over to people's houses? Like, how's that?
Yes. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we were doing at first. Again, with the permission of patients. Or, like last night, a pastor just shared with me that somebody in our church also just lost. And so today I'll be driving one over. So that's basically how we've been doing it. But we're going to be leaving some at the end of the month. On the 28th, all our stuff goes live. We'll
Okay.
be dropping off a certain amount of bags at the hospital and at all the clinics around the island. So
Love
at
that.
least they're there. So at least this time a doctor can be like, here, we know of somebody who wants to do something for you, and then go home with this versus now I got to go to the commissary. Because, out here it's even worse. You don't have 20 grocery stores because we would drive like to one outside of our city so we didn't chance running into somebody. Here it's one big commissary basically.
And then
And
you happen to explain all of that right there in the middle of the store.
yes. So
Yeah.
that's the big prayer. And then if you do want to give financially or, provide some of the materials, I created an Amazon list of what we put in it. It's very simple. It's basically the Depends, the envelopes, the ink for the printer to print the cards. I made a list so that you guys can go ahead and purchase if you'd like. We would be so grateful. So, so grateful. I mean, I have some amazing wives who've been giving us coupons. And then I have an
Oh,
amazing clerk now. I've made friends with the clerk at the exchange, and she just lets me do them one right after each. Because I was like going once a day, and I was like, I just want you to know these are for other people. I'm not like, I'm not that super incontinent, but
um,
but yeah,
okay, so Amazon list, we'll make sure and link
yes.
that up both on our page and probably in the comments of this chat.
Yes,
So,
and we also have a donate button that goes straight to my
okay,
PayPal link. And I understand that may make people uncomfortable, as it did me. But we are
right.
in the process of trying to find time where my husband and I can go and meet with legal and see if we need to set this up as a nonprofit organization so that people
Okay,
are more comfortable giving.
exciting. That's exciting.
Yes,
Um, but for now, they can donate to you,
yes.
and like I said, we'll put all the links on here. Um, let me see what else I wanted to ask you. Um, okay, I think that's it. So prayer,
Yes,
Amazon list, and
yes,
donate button.
yes.
We'll make sure and provide all of that for you. Um, I just wanted to, while we're still together, I talked about it at the beginning before I had you on, but our next social where we're going to be doing these cards for Operation Carry Her is going to be on February 21st at 7 at East Parker Coffee Company, and that's going to be in here in Aledo. And so, and like I said, coffee is provided, the cards are provided. I didn't even have a chance to tell you this. I had a meeting with
Oh,
a pastor from a church called North Elevation in Mansfield, and they gave us a check to cover everything for the socials. So
wow. Oh my gosh, praise God. Thank you
yeah,
guys
so
so much.
yeah, so I was really excited to receive that. So everything's covered. Just come. We just need moms to come and to write cards for these ladies.
Thank you.
Um,
We'd be so grateful.
yeah. So
So
anything else you want to share with us?
I just want to say thanks for listening. I was very nervous.
Did
So
great. You did
thank
great.
you.
I'm nervous too. Now that there's a face, it makes it a lot easier than when I'm talking to nobody. So,
But you did great too. And I
thanks.
just want to tell you and Carol, thank you so much for just hearing me out, and not only just hearing me out, but just supporting us the way that you have. We feel so loved, and it's just total confirmation that this is of God and for God. And I just really
Yes.
am grateful
Yeah.
that we can
Well,
glorify God this way.
we're so happy to cheer you on because we love what you're doing. So, if it's okay, I'd like to pray together
Absolutely.
before we wrap up, and then we'll close out. Heavenly Father, you are doing some amazing things, not just here in Texas, but around the world, Lord. And we're so grateful for what you are doing and how you are doing it, and the hearts that you're preparing to partner with us and just all the things that we can't see yet, but that you can, and that we will continue to be faithful and obedient because we know that you are faithful. And just help us to be wise and to keep taking steps towards whatever it is that you have prepared for us to do, to serve and to love these moms and dads too. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, I think that's
Thank you
it.
so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. We'll see you
Bye,
later.
y'all.